I'm the long-lost heiress of the Montgomery family, the one they switched at birth. I'm also a high priestess from a hidden magical land. The first day I stepped back into the Montgomery mansion, I noticed a tiny red parasite on the necks of my biological parents and brother, but the one on the arm of the fake heiress, Anna, was especially thick and menacing. "Willow," she said, "I hope we can get along really well." I smiled. "Of course, my dear sister. I was raised in a secluded, mystical region, and because of my exceptional talent, I became the high priestess at 18. My mentor, the previous high priestess, told me that to become a true priestess, I had to sever all emotional ties and endure the trials of the mortal world. So, I was waiting for my trial to begin. I always believed I was born from the sacred waters of my homeland. But it wasn't until I walked into this 3-story, 6,000-square-foot mansion that I learned I had a mother, a father, and even a brother. The problem was, my rightful place as the Montgomery heiress had been taken by this imposter, Anna. On the way here, the driver told me all about her. Anna is a rising starlet in Hollywood, a real it girl on the fast track to a brilliant career. Of course, this was all bankrolled by my biological father, Richard Montgomery, the CEO of Montgomery Corp. It was clear he doted on her. But for some reason, even though the driver made them sound like a picture-perfect family, the moment I walked into the mansion, a chill ran down my spine. A thick sense of danger emanated from every person in front of me. It felt just like when the high priestess threw me into the goo pit to make friends with the creatures inside. Even though I came to the Montgomerys' home with the intention of severing my worldly attachments, the attitude of my biological parents and brother was truly something else. My birth mother, Catherine, pulled me inside by the hand. "Willow, no matter what happened in the past, you're a Montgomery now. You need to act like one. Be dignified. And you absolutely must be careful about how you treat Anna. That girl is sensitive and fragile. She can't handle a single harsh word." My biological father, Richard, nodded in agreement. "I think it's best we don't announce Willow's return for now. Let's wait until after Anna's new movie is successfully released. Then we can reconsider." My own brother Leo just sneered. "Mom, Dad, she's lived in some rural backwater for years. How is she fit to be the Montgomery heiress? Anyway, the only sister I'll ever have is Anna." I gave them a detached look. So, these were the attachments I was supposed to sever? Well, that was going to be easier than I thought. I'd originally thought that since they were my birth parents, I, as a high priestess with immense power, could grant them some blessings. But from the looks of it now, they weren't worthy. "Look, since none of you seem very happy to see me, why did you even bring me here? Not that it matters. I'm not used to places with such a commercial, stuffy feel anyway. I think I'll just go back. Now the high priestess can't say I haven't severed my worldly ties, right?" I turned to leave. Richard seemed furious with me. He slammed the table and shot up from his chair. Such a country bumpkin. How could I, Richard Montgomery, have such an ill-mannered daughter? If Anna hadn't begged me to bring you back, did you really think I'd want a daughter like you, Anna? My footsteps paused. Why would a fake heiress beg them to bring the real one back? Wouldn't they usually do everything in their power to get rid of the real one? But in that moment of hesitation, a young woman suddenly appeared before me, dressed as flamboyantly as a parrot. "Anna, sweetie, are you hurt?" I had no time to pay attention to their blatant favoritism. I took a sharp step back, my eyes fixed on this woman. Something was wrong with her. "You must be Willow, right? I've been looking forward to you coming back for so long." The joy on Anna's face didn't seem fake, but her gaze was filled with a strange hunger. It was the look of someone seeing a delicious meal, like she wanted to devour me whole. "You must be tired from your long trip. Come on, sit down, don't just stand there. Dad, Mom, Leo, let's all sit." Anna cheerfully ushered me further into the room. Richard snorted. Who would believe this is my daughter? How did she end up so rude and hot-tempered? Does she really think she's something special just because she studied with some no-name mentor for a couple of years? Leo sat down next to Anna and shot me a cold glare. "Anna, I really don't know why you insisted she come back. Weren't we fine as a family? Why bring this bad omen into our lives?" Anna playfully tapped Leo's arm, more like a tickle than a slap. Their relationship was incredibly close. Dad, Mom, Willow has been in that rural place for so many years. She must have been starving and cold. I just wanted our whole family to be together, happy and whole. I didn't want my existence to take away the life that was rightfully hers. That wouldn't be fair to her. No wonder she was a rising starlet. Her acting skills were certainly impressive. After just a few insincere words, tears were already glistening on her cheeks. Dad, Mom, and Leo, you all promised me you'd treat Willow well, right? Catherine hugged Anna protectively, her heart clearly aching for her. Anna, honey, I know you have a kind heart, but we need time to adjust to having someone new in the house. How about this? For your sake, we'll let her stay for now. We'll figure out the rest later. Seeing Anna cry, Leo shot me a furious glare. You from the countryside. Anna is the only lady of this house. You got that? I watched this harmonious family frowning slightly. It wasn't out of jealousy. It was because I finally understood where the chilling aura I felt upon entering had come from. Just now, when Anna was speaking, on the back of Richard's, Catherine's, and Leo's necks, there were tiny blood-red parasites, squirming just beneath their skin. I knew this thing all too well. A blood goo. Its matriarch is created from the heart's blood of a goo master. Once formed, it can split into numerous offspring, which attach to people and control their minds. And the matriarch was coiled around Anna's wrist. It all clicked. So this is what my mentor meant when she told me that every blessing comes with a curse before I left my homeland. Anna came over and took my hand, acting incredibly affectionate. Willow, we have to get along from now on. I smiled, deliberately patting the goo worm on her wrist. Of course, my dear sister. She jerked her hand back, a wary smile flashing across her face. Excellent. Things were getting interesting. In the end, thanks to Anna's enthusiastic insistence, I stayed at the Montgomerys. But I knew the truth. She only wanted me here to better absorb the vital energy from my body, to elevate the power of her goo worm. After all, I am a high priestess. My inner energy and lifeblood are the best nutrients for the blood goo she's raising. Lately, I've often felt an itch on my skin. It's a sign that someone is trying to place a goo on me. But these little tricks had no effect. I lived with goo worms for 3 years in my homeland. I have a natural resistance to them. Anna's magic is still weak. She can't touch me. However, for some unknown reason, whenever I tried to move against her goo worm, a mysterious force would block me, preventing me from getting close. I also overheard Anna on the phone with someone, her expression venomous. I don't know why, but I can't seem to get to her. Oh, so she has a partner in crime? I couldn't hear the rest clearly, but a few keywords reached my ears. Devour, place the goo, press conference, bring her along. It seemed they were getting impatient and ready to make their move. I wasn't in a hurry. The high priestess told me that my own guardian familiar would come to me in a few days. When that happens, I'd like to see if I can't just swallow that little blood goo whole. These days, Anna was home a lot less. I was happy to have the peace and quiet. I took the opportunity to start crafting something to deal with the blood goo that Anna had placed inside the 3 Montgomerys. While I didn't know their true character, they were still my blood relatives. Even if I had to sever these ties, it should be done when everyone is in their right mind. Finally, the day of the press conference Anna mentioned had arrived. Although the family wasn't thrilled about me going, Anna's whining and pleading won out, and they ended up taking me with them. I'm warning you, don't cause any trouble for my sister. Leo jabbed a finger at my nose, trying to sound tough. I gave him a calm look. Respecting your elders is a basic human decency. If you treat me like this, you'd better watch out for bad luck. He wanted to say more, but Anna was already pulling me into the car. I saw the goo worm on her wrist writhing restlessly. It looked like there was going to be quite a show today. Anna's popularity was genuinely high. If I hadn't seen the red aura pulsing from the blood goo on her hand, I might have actually thought she had some real talent. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, today we are officially announcing the first movie collaboration between Ms. Anna Montgomery and A-list actor Julian Vance. Filming starts tomorrow, so if you have any questions, now is the time to ask. The audience was filled with fans of Anna and the famous actor, along with a horde of reporters. It was a huge event. The 3 Montgomerys and I were seated in the front row, a spot specially arranged by Anna. The actor, however, was nowhere to be seen. Ms. Montgomery, we heard that the acclaimed actress Diana was also competing for this role. But in the end, the director chose you. Do you have anything you'd like to say to Diana? The young reporter's question was quite pointed. I'd heard Catherine mention this before. It was clearly the result of the Montgomery Corporation's deep pockets. They had apparently even pressured Diana's family. But on stage, Anna smiled virtuously. I could already guess her pre-written speech. It would be something about gracefully excusing herself, while also praising her own superior talent, and how her acting skills blew Diana's out of the water. Diana and I are the best of friends? Not a chance, sweet sister. With a flick of my finger, a faint green light shot towards her feet, invisible to the eye, and crawled up her leg under her long dress. Ms. Montgomery, what's wrong? Anna suddenly paused on stage. The reporter's question snapped her back to reality, and the words just tumbled out. How could that flashy tramp Diana possibly compare to me? Just because she debuted a few years earlier, she thinks she's hot stuff? I'm a Montgomery heiress. Ah. Anna frantically slapped a hand over her mouth. Her terrified eyes were blinded by the flashing cameras. She scanned the room, her gaze finally landing on me with suspicion. I just shook my head. Sigh. Too bad the truth goo is a one-time use item. Otherwise, the rest would have been even more entertaining. But this was enough. The camera flashes intensified as everyone settled in for the drama. Ms. Montgomery, could you elaborate on that? We knew it. The rumors about the feud between the rising star Anna Montgomery and the famous actress Diana are true. This is a huge scoop. Next to me, Leo slammed his fist on his chair, his brow furrowed. Isn't she just telling the truth? Why are they reacting like this? Catherine and Richard didn't look happy either. Exactly. How could that old hag Diana compare to our Anna? She's not even in the same league. I glanced at the writhing blood goo and said nothing. The host was getting flustered. Ms. Montgomery wasn't feeling well just now. Please don't pay it any mind. Let's focus on the movie. But the reporters weren't about to give up. Since Anna was now tight-lipped, they tried to dig for other juicy stories. Ms. Montgomery, there are rumors that you and the star actor fell for each other while discussing the script. Is that true? Another sharp question. Anna forced herself to remain calm, her panic finally subsiding. Her mood shifted quickly, a blush spreading across her cheeks. But beneath that shy expression, there was a clear hint of triumph. Julian and I, there's nothing like that right now. Please don't misunderstand. She explained with a blush, lowering her head. It was a clear attempt to confirm the rumor without saying it. Right now? Does that mean there might be something in the future? Anna gave the reporter a look that was full of unspoken words, her acting reaching its peak. The reporter got the hint. So the pictures the paparazzi got were real? The A-lister Julian Vance is really into Anna Montgomery? Anna's face turned an even deeper shade of red. But just as she was about to say more, a clear, cool voice, tinged with excitement, cut through the air. I've finally found you. It was Julian Vance. An official announcement? Is it true? A live announcement right here? The reporters and fans erupted. They watched with breathless excitement as the superstar actor Julian Vance walked in from the entrance. Anna's face was full of anticipation. Could it be? Could Julian Vance really be? The impossibly handsome man walked straight past Anna and through the crowd of reporters without a second glance. He walked right up to me. He knelt on one knee and took my hand. I finally found you. The spotlight hit Julian's face. His exquisite features and flawless skin glowed in the light. He was truly a beautiful vessel. And his scent, it was incredibly familiar, as if we were once part of the same whole. Oh, my dear mentor, why didn't you tell me my guardian familiar came in such a gorgeous package? If I'd known, I would have come a lot sooner. What is happening? In stark contrast to the atmosphere between me and Julian, the surrounding reporters and fans exploded. This was the hottest actor in the industry, and he was kneeling before some unknown woman, speaking to her with such a gentle tone and reverence. Could it be? This woman was the actor's first love? Willow Montgomery. What is the meaning of this? Leo, sitting next to me, was the first to lose it. He jumped up and pointed a finger at my nose, yelling, This is my sister's big day, the press conference for her new movie she's worked so hard for, and you're crashing it in front of everyone? Are you just jealous that we love her more? How could you do something like this? Catherine and Richard couldn't stay seated either. How could someone as malicious as you have Montgomery blood in your veins? On stage, Anna looked like she was on the verge of tears, staring at me with a pained expression. She didn't say a word to the reporter's barrage of questions, just kept her sad eyes fixed on me and Julian. It looked like a scene from a dramatic cheating scandal. Julian, are you caught in a love triangle between Ms. Montgomery and this other young lady? Who is the one who came between whom? The rumors said you and Anna just fell for each other on set, but now you're being intimate with this woman. Can you please explain what's going on? I shook my head and pulled Julian up by the hand he was holding. I paid no attention to the words of the Montgomerys or the questions from the reporters. It was all just noise. The reporters were driven by profit, and the Montgomerys were merely under the influence of Anna's blood goo. Now that Julian had found me, dealing with them shouldn't be too much of a problem. I could feel a vibrant energy flowing from his fingertips into mine. A warm, comforting sensation spread through my entire body. It was time to make my move. But just then Julian suddenly acted. Have you all said enough? His cool, noble voice wasn't loud, but it successfully silenced everyone in the room. Even Richard, who had been so arrogant just moments before, now sat quietly. After all, compared to the Vance family, the Montgomerys were nothing. There is nothing between me and Anna Montgomery. I have absolutely no interest in that kind of two-faced, manipulative woman. Julian stood in front of me, shielding me as he faced the crowd. Furthermore, I came here today to make a public announcement. The Vance Corporation is pulling its investment from this film, effective immediately. And our legal department will be filing a lawsuit against Anna Montgomery for hiring reporters and social media bots to create fake publicity linking her to me. I will hold her fully accountable. Boom. Julian's statement detonated the atmosphere in the room. Everyone looked at Anna with the gleeful expression of someone watching a train wreck, waiting for this starlet to become a laughingstock. This was the Vance family after all. And Anna, who just moments ago had been basking in the glow of her rumored romance with the A-list actor, was now completely silenced, utterly baffled as to how things had gone so horribly wrong. Julian Vance. At this point, Anna's #1 fan, Leo, finally snapped. He raised his hand and pointed at Julian's face, cursing. It's your blessing that my sister even looks at you. You should know your place. You're throwing away a good thing, rejecting an amazing woman like my sister. And now you're fawning over this country bumpkin, Willow. I don't know what you're thinking. The reporters understood something new. What? So she's the real Montgomery heiress who was lost in the countryside? That paparazzo from TMZ wasn't kidding. He was right when he said the Montgomerys had a real daughter hidden away in some rural town. So, will Anna be able to keep her title as the Montgomery heiress? Leo looked at me with a smug expression. Willow, if you know what's good for you, you'll crawl back to your hick town. Nobody here wants. Smack. The crisp sound of a slap echoed through the room. Julian had sent Leo sprawling to the floor. Who do you think you are? You dare point your finger at her? As a spirit familiar, Julian's strength was immense. That one slap nearly knocked Leo unconscious. He lay on the ground, clutching his face, his expression a mixture of outrage and disbelief. I told him, disrespecting your elders brings bad luck. There it is. Instant karma, served with a side of blood. This stupid kid. While Anna's goo worm was certainly clever, the root of the problem was that his family had no brains. They were fooled by her innocent act, which is why they were so easily controlled. Julian. Over there, Anna came running over. But she didn't even spare a glance for her dear brother. Instead, she carefully tried to clutch at Julian's sleeve. What a picture of tearful innocence. If I didn't know her venomous heart, I might have been fooled by that face too. But Julian wasn't buying it either. He flicked his sleeve, his expression as cold as ice. Get lost. Short, sweet, and to the point. Just how I like it. The manipulative girl bit her lip hard. With no other choice, she turned to Richard. Dad, does Willow really not like me? But I truly just wanted you and Mom to have a family reunion with her. That's why I brought her back from the countryside. I never thought. Few words, but packed with meaning. Our Anna is so kind. She was the one who brought that country girl back? Wow. And now she's being stabbed in the back. She's just some hick from the middle of nowhere. How dare she embarrass our Anna in public? So noisy. I began to chant an incantation. Julian's arrival had activated the power the high priestess had sealed within me. Dealing with that blood goo should be much easier now. Julian noticed my movements. He said nothing, just held my hand tighter, channeling his power into me. We were of the same origin. Julian Vance. Are you rebelling? Just then, an imperious woman appeared at the entrance. She stormed in, pointing an accusing finger at Julian. Anna is the daughter-in-law I chose for you, and you don't cherish her. What are you doing getting entangled with this wild woman from the countryside? I tilted my head. The cold aura from this woman was identical to Anna's. She must be the one pulling the strings behind Anna. Julian's reaction was even faster than mine. The moment the woman tried to grab me, he pulled me into his arms, dodging the hand with its blood-red fingernails. What right do you have to interfere with my decisions? His quiet words seemed to infuriate the middle-aged woman. She looked stunned, as if she couldn't understand why Julian had suddenly grown a backbone. Anna rushed to her side to calm her down. Aunt Cynthia, don't be angry. Julian didn't mean it like that. It's all that woman's fault. She must have seduced Julian. The two of them seemed very close. And my hand, which had been channeling energy, paused. I could clearly feel an invisible barrier when I tried to control the goo worms inside the Montgomery family. It wasn't unbreakable. But if I acted now, it would cause too much of a scene. I relaxed slightly and shook my head at Julian. He understood instantly and squeezed my hand. Cynthia, did you really think that just because the old man is dead, his assets and shares are all yours? Cynthia was now too preoccupied to be angry. What do you mean? She had schemed for years to marry Julian's father. Julian and his father never had a good relationship. Now that she'd finally seen the old man kick the bucket, she'd been gleefully clutching his will every day, waiting to inherit everything. But Julian's words planted a seed of doubt. Julian smirked and pulled me to his side. I am announcing my official retirement from acting, effective today. The Vance Corporation is pulling all investments from the Montgomerys, and Vance Corp will officially merge with my personal company, Vance Group, with myself as CEO. And she, he said, looking at me, will be the CEO's wife. My face felt a little hot. The high priestess had told me that I and my spirit familiar were destined to be bound for life. I had accepted this fate long ago. But to have my expected little worm suddenly turn into a living, breathing person was certainly a pleasant surprise. What did you say? Cynthia's aura felt unstable as she glared at Julian. And this also allowed me to catch a whiff of a different, unusual scent on her. This was the thing my mentor, the high priestess, had been searching for. No wonder. So this was the opportunity she spoke of. Julian didn't even look at her, seeming to sense the shift in my mood. He gave me a look that asked what was going on. I suppressed the excitement in my eyes and signaled for him to stay calm. At this point, Richard Montgomery, who had been a spectator all this time, finally snapped back to reality. Mr. Vance, what did you just say? Pulling your investment? Although he was controlled by the blood goo, leading to his mindless favoritism towards Anna in most matters, he still had some sense when it came to business. He knew that the Vance Corporation pulling out was just the beginning. Next, the Montgomerys would face endless pressure from Julian. This was meant to ensure the Montgomery family could never recover. Our Montgomery family has worked with the Vance Corporation for so many years. You can't just pull your funding like that. How are we supposed to survive? But Julian had no intention of coddling them. He gently caressed my hand and said softly, "Did you really think I gave the Montgomerys money because you were competent? If you weren't her biological father, you wouldn't have even been on my radar. And now, after the way you've treated her, you still expect to leech off the Vance Corporation?" Richard looked like he was about to burst into tears. He looked helplessly from Julian to me. Finally, his gaze fell on Catherine, and he frantically signaled to her. Catherine understood. Her face suddenly lit up with a warm, eager expression as she looked at me. "Willow, you still have our blood in your veins. You can't just watch your mother and father and brother and sis us become destitute, can you? Quick, say something nice to Mr. Vance. When it came to Anna, she couldn't bring herself to finish the word sister. Julian glanced at me. I knew that whatever I said, he would listen. But why should I help them? Although they were controlled by the blood goo, that had only happened a few years ago. They knew from the very beginning that Anna wasn't their biological daughter. But they never came looking for me. They were clearly afraid my existence would tarnish the Montgomery family's social standing. That had nothing to do with the blood goo. You'd be better off begging Anna. After all, she's your good daughter. I'm no saint. The bond of raising a child is stronger than that of birth, especially with such a heartless pair of parents. Richard turned his gaze to Anna, who now looked equally anxious. But she wasn't worried about the Montgomery family, she was worried about herself. With Cynthia's shares now in jeopardy, if the Montgomerys went under too, then all her years of scheming would have been for nothing. Aunt Cynthia, you can't just stand by and watch me. Cynthia's expression hardened. Julian Vance, the will has your father's personal signature and thumbprint on it. It's already been notarized by a lawyer. All of his shares are mine. On what grounds can you snatch the Vance Corporation from my hands? I saw her fingers seem to form a seal. She was summoning something. Julian watched her with a bored expression, casually leading me to a nearby sofa to sit down. He picked up a microphone, and his cool voice carried to everyone's ears. Cynthia, did you really think I didn't know what methods you used to control the old man? You're right, he did give you his shares. But have you ever considered just how many shares he actually had left? The color drained from Cynthia's face. How could you? Julian put down the microphone and pinched his slender right hand in the empty air. A tiny black goo worm appeared in his hand. The shares the old man had left were barely 1%. The goo worm was instantly crushed into dust in his hand. Across from us, Cynthia looked as if she had suffered a massive blow. She collapsed weakly against the security guards behind her, clutching her chest and staring venomously at Julian. And I, with a simple hand gesture, pulled a golden thread that had flashed from under Cynthia's feet back into my hand. I finally had it. The next morning, the news exploded online. What was supposed to be an ordinary press conference had entangled two major conglomerates, the Vance and Montgomery families. It was thought that the Vance Corporation was now in the hands of the young wife the old CEO had married, Cynthia. But it turned out that the vast majority of the shares had instantly transferred to the son, Julian Vance. Cynthia had fallen gravely ill, and the A-list actor had transformed into a CEO. Overnight, he became the most sought-after bachelor in the city. Though, thanks to the concurrent announcement of his future wife, he wasn't technically on the market. As for the Montgomery family, they collapsed overnight. The Vance family pulling their investment was a massive blow to Richard. It completely severed their financial lifeline, and liquidation was imminent. But none of this had much to do with me for the time being. Come here. I held the goo matriarch that I had pulled from Cynthia's body in my palm and beckoned Julian over. This item was essential for me to become a true high priestess. Julian trotted over like a big golden retriever, and obediently settled near my lap. Master, you missed me? His feelings for me, and mine for him, came from a natural intimacy and trust rooted in our very blood. I patted his head in response to his affection. After all, with a face like that, who could remain completely unmoved? I was starting to understand why kings skip their morning duties. I need to refine this thing, and you have to help me. Seeing that I was serious, he adopted a solemn expression. His eyes gazed at me with infinite tenderness. How can I help? Now it was my turn to blush. You get up first. Julian obediently got up from my lap. I looked at his face with only one thought in my mind. He's so handsome, I'm definitely not getting the short end of the stick here. I formed a sigil, and the glowing golden goo matriarch floated over my heart. The Julian in front of me looked nothing like a superstar actor. He was more like a big, well-behaved dog waiting to be petted. I'm not losing out, I'm not losing out. I steeled myself and dove into Julian's arms. Only with the help of my guardian spirit familiar could I truly refine this goo matriarch and become a high priestess with the divine power of my people. You don't have to be so rough. A pair of soft lips met mine, but before I could savor the moment, We were both swept away by a golden wave and lost consciousness. When I woke up again, I was lying on Julian's massive bed. He was lying beside me, his eyes open, just watching me. "What are you looking at?" He chuckled softly. "I've waited for you for over 20 years. Can't I look?" I turned away, a little shy, and changed the subject. You need to come with me to the Montgomery's house." Julian nodded. He unconditionally supported all of my decisions. Because our blood was connected, our lives intertwined. Although the Gu matriarch was now refined, my worldly ties were not yet severed. I still had unfinished business with the Montgomery family. This time, when we arrived at the Montgomery mansion, the cold, ominous feeling was significantly weaker. It seemed my guess was correct. Anna herself had no talent for refining goo. The true master behind that blood goo was likely Cynthia. "Mom, Dad, what are we going to do now?" Before we even entered, we could hear Anna's crying, which, for once, sounded somewhat genuine. The butler didn't stop us, so I pushed the door open and walked in. The 4 people inside all turned to look at Julian and me, their expressions a mix of emotions. When Anna looked at me, her face was still full of malice. But when she turned to Julian, it morphed into her signature look of pitiful vulnerability. What a master of deception. This time, however, the way Richard and Catherine looked at me seemed different. Leo too. He was fidgety and avoided my gaze, lacking the arrogance he had when we first met. I knew why. Now that I had refined the Gu matriarch from Cynthia, Anna was losing her grip on the 3 blood Gu. "Willow, you're back." Richard looked at me, or rather, at Julian, with a gaze full of flattery and obsequiousness. I knew what he wanted without him having to say a word. "So look, since you and Mr. Vance are planning to get married, that makes us all family. Could you maybe ask the Vance Corporation to reinvest? You can't just watch your parents starve on the street, can you?" Catherine took my hand affectionately. "Willow, no matter what, you're my own flesh and blood. You can't just watch your mother fall into poverty and do nothing, can you?" She had me sit on the sofa, then beckoned to Anna and Leo. "Come over here, call her sister." Their attitude was a complete 180 from the day I first arrived. Leo reluctantly shuffled over and actually managed to speak. "Sis." It seemed Cynthia was probably on her last legs. I glanced at Leo. The slap from Julian the other day had knocked out several of his teeth, and now he spoke with a lisp. I couldn't help but let out a small laugh. Catherine seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. "See, we're all family. From now on, let's not have any secrets." Julian sat beside me, watching me without a word. My gaze fell on Anna. She sat alone on the other sofa, just as I had on my first day. Only now, she was no longer the affectionate sister who wanted to get along with me. The look she gave me was one of pure hatred, as if she wanted to slice me into 1,000 pieces. "Sister, didn't you want us to get along? Why is it that your big sister is back today, and you won't even say hello?" I stood up and, mimicking her from that first day, affectionately took her hand. But she violently shook it off. "Willow, stop with the fake act. I know you wish I would just drop dead. Dead. It wouldn't come to that. But there would be a price to pay." I feigned a startled look and retreated into Julian's arms. "Oh my, it seems my little sister doesn't like me very much. I guess I'm still an outsider after all. Mr. Montgomery, I'm afraid I can't help with the family's business." I took Julian's hand and pretended to leave. Richard instantly panicked. Smack. The sound of a loud slap was music to my ears. The handprint on Anna's face was, naturally, quite a sight. "What time do you think it is to be fighting with your sister? Apologize to her right now." In his rage, Richard's slap was not light. Anna stumbled sideways onto the sofa, looking at him with utter disbelief. "Dad, you hit me?" Her voice trembled, but her hidden hand was forming a sigil to control the blood goo. Richard's eyes started to glaze over, but Catherine had already rushed to Anna, cradling her and looking at her with heartbreak. "Richard, how could you hit Anna?" Richard looked even more confused, staring down at his own hand, seemingly unable to distinguish which thoughts were his own. I smiled. "Mr. Montgomery, since you are my biological father, it's not that I can't help you." Hearing this, Richard forgot his confusion and looked at me with hopeful eyes. "Dad." Anna, looking uneasy, formed another sigil with her hand and called to him softly. I glanced at her and stated my terms. The Vance Corporation can reinvest. However, my condition is that you cut all ties with Anna from now on. Richard froze. He looked at me, then at Anna, seemingly unable to decide. Dad, even if I'm not your biological daughter, I've called you Dad for over 20 years. You can't just abandon me because of a few words from her. Anna put on her performance while secretly forming sigils. Dad, you said I would always be your favorite daughter. Mom, you said you would love me unconditionally no matter what. Leo, you said I was your only sister. Her fingers were practically smoking from the effort. But finally, the expressions on the three Montgomerys' faces returned to the familiar, unconditional adoration and resolve she knew. Yes, Richard, Anna will always be our daughter. I watched this happy family of four and shook my head. Anna finally let out a sigh of relief. Willow, so what if you have money? I'm telling you, Mom, Dad, and my brother will always be my family. You will always be the abandoned orphan. Her face was filled with triumph, like a hen who had just won a fight. I looked at her expression and shook my head softly. Anna, do you really think I care about their so-called family affection? Besides, don't you feel pathetic, wallowing in this fake affection brought on by an external force? Anna's face changed. What do you mean? I didn't waste any more words on her. I had seen enough of this play. It was time for the final reckoning. Before, dealing with the blood goo deployed by this goo matriarch might have been a bit difficult. But now that I had refined the matriarch itself, how could these few hatchlings possibly be a match for me? It was all just an illusion. Anna, it's time to wake up. I raised my hand and casually formed a summoning seal. 3 goo worms obediently flew into my hand, becoming nourishment for the goo within me. Richard, Catherine, and Leo all shuddered, as if waking from a long dream. I looked at them and asked softly, Anna or the Montgomery Corporation, which do you choose? Richard flinched and, almost without hesitation, uttered one word. The corporation. Catherine came to her senses as well. The corporation, honey, we have to save the corporation. We don't even know whose bastard child Anna is. We've raised her for all these years. We've done more than enough. The two of them practically crawled to Julian's and my feet. Mr. Vance, Willow, I want the corporation. I promise, I will never have anything to do with Anna again. I wouldn't even blink if she died on the side of the road. I didn't say a word, just watched the scene unfold. How ironic. So people like this really exist in the world. People who place their own interests above everything else. Whether it's their own flesh and blood, or someone they raised under the same roof for 20 years. Neither can compete with the allure of profit. Anna looked as if she'd been struck by lightning, her gaze vacant. Dad, Mom, Leo, didn't you say you would always love me the most? Please don't abandon me, please don't. In the past, all she had to do was cry a little, and she would win the love and pity of the entire family. But now no one paid her any attention. Leo, whose pant leg she was clutching, even kicked her away in a fit of rage. Get off me. We have nothing to do with you anymore. Willow is my only sister. Only sister? I glanced at him. I'm not so lucky. The 3 of them focused their attention on me, but I looked past them, toward the door. The IRS agents had arrived. The Montgomery Corporation had been evading taxes for years, and both Richard and Catherine were involved. As for Leo and Anna, they would have to face the courts. Leo was a drug addict, and Anna had used plenty of dirty tricks to climb the ladder in Hollywood. The Vance Corporation's legal team had already dug everything up. Wait. Just as they were about to be taken away, I called out to them. Except for Anna, who was already somewhat delirious, the other 3 looked at me, as if searching for a way out of this mess. But I wasn't there to save them. Sign this. I took out the contract to sever all familial ties that I had prepared in advance. I placed it in front of the 3 of them. Sign it. From now on, we go our separate ways. Richard was silent for a moment. The 3 of them looked at me deeply for a moment, and finally, they signed the document. Their expressions might have held guilt, or perhaps confusion, but none of that mattered anymore. Julian gently put his arm around my shoulder, his voice soft. It's okay. You still have me. I looked at him and let out a small sigh of relief. Let's go. I'll take you to meet the high priestess. The end.